Episode 16 – Social Credit and Usury. We are sometimes told that the mechanism by means of which the banking system concentrates wealth, power and privilege in fewer and fewer hands consists primarily in the fact that the banks fraudulently charge interest on money that is created out of nothing. But what if this isn't exactly true? According to the social credit analysis of Major C.H. Douglas, not to be confused with Chinese social credit, while economic rent-taking is undeniably a feature of the present banking system, the mere charging of interest on bank credit issued via loans does not constitute the core of the problem. In the first place, charging interest and/or service fees is not necessarily unjust. Banks have legitimate expenses, and these costs must be met by the consuming public in one form or another. In the second place, the charging of interest and/or service fees is not primarily responsible for the price-income gap, and indeed it does not contribute in any unique way to the price-income gap. Banks, like all other businesses, generate costs and prices at a faster rate than they distribute incomes. So what makes current banking practice usurious? Why are bank charges often burdensome, and/or excessive, and/or exploitative? The real problem with modern banking lies in the fact that the banks falsely claim to own the financial credit which they create. This claim to ownership is implicit in the fact that the credit is only ever lent and never freely given. Since financial credit is meant to represent the real credit of society, i.e. the capacity of society to produce goods and services, claiming to own a society's financial credit is equivalent to claiming to own its real credit, which the banks most certainly did not create. While fraudulent, these claims to ownership wouldn't constitute that much of a practical problem were it not for the recurring gap between prices and incomes. It is the existence of the gap which makes it possible for the banks to assert themselves as the chief financial beneficiaries of that factor of production which is primarily responsible for the gap, the real capital of society. How does this happen? Well, as we have seen in previous episodes, access to the surplus flow of goods and services that the real capital makes possible can only be granted via additional government, corporate or consumer loans. These loans come from the banking system and tend to be long-term in nature. Since compound interest increases exponentially the longer the term of the loan, the banks can impose very lucrative terms on the supplementary financial injections which the economy requires at periodic intervals in order to maintain equilibrium. The banks thus benefit disproportionately and unjustly from the gap that is caused by real capital, and yet they did not create this real capital. Indeed, relying on them to fill the gap with debt money allows them to dispossess the rightful beneficial owners of society's real capital, the common citizens. It is this surreptitious usurpation of ownership which constitutes the greatest evil inherent in the bank's monopoly of credit. Provided that the price-income gap can be properly eliminated on social credit lines, much of the usurious character of banking would automatically vanish. It is for this reason that social credit is not in favor of the nationalization of the private banks, nor is it opposed to bank profit so long as that profit is functionalist in nature. What is desired is that the private banks should effectively serve a national or public policy rather than a self-serving private policy, and be rewarded accordingly. This animated series was sponsored by the Clifford Hugh Douglas Institute for the Study and Promotion of Social Credit. For more information on Douglas Social Credit, please visit socred.org or socialcredit.com.au. Be sure to like this video and please subscribe to our channel.